Hi everyone. Wow, it has been literally years since I've posted a video. This is going to be quite different than anything else I've posted just because I just want to be myself. I don't have a script for this video. I don't feel like really digging too deep into what I'm going to talk about just because a lot has happened this year. I have learned a lot about myself and about others and just the world. I feel like that's a running theme for some reason. 2019 just seems to be the year that people are having a lot of emotional breakthroughs, and maybe it's because just this is what happens when you're my age. I don't know. And like everyone I know is going through the same thing. But I see a lot of just emotional health awareness on Facebook and Instagram and people going to therapy. I've really been digging my heels into therapy this year, and it's been really, really hard because I'm just not used to dealing with this stuff. I'm used to living with it. I'm not used to processing it and dealing with it and learning about it. So basically, I found out that I have borderline personality disorder, which is kind of a scary term, isn't it? Anything with personality disorder at the end of it is going to be a bit scary. It's not because I have scleroderma. Maybe partly. I doubt it though. Scleroderma, it's something I'm actually thankful for. I think I've mentioned that on many videos. I have learned so much about myself. I've become a better person. I understand people a lot better because I've been through something like this at such a young age. But borderline personality disorder, it's made me think a lot about just my upbringing, being the child of East Asian immigrants. It's a traumatic experience that I think most children of Asian immigrants can share in. The culture shock that our parents experienced coming to America, coming to a culture that did not acknowledge theirs as the right way to do things, that was so different. The role that family plays in our lives, the roles that we're expected to play as children, the roles that our parents are expected to play for us. Nobody prepared us for growing up in that culture, but in America. I think it's just very shocking. The product of being brought up in that culture, but in America, surrounded by friends who could not relate to that, was just a lot of suppression, a lot of confusion, just this huge divide of not feeling like I fit in, not feeling like I was doing anything right because I was being treated so differently at home than my friends were. But of course, that wasn't my parents' fault because they were brought up that way. And all of their friends were brought up that way. But no one I knew was being brought up that way except for my immediate family. And it just made me think that we're doing something wrong. This is not how it's supposed to be, that we are supposed to feel and be treated and to treat differently. But for some reason, our family doesn't do it like that. It took a lot of introspection and a lot of processing to start to feel like the way I was made to feel growing up was not because of any wrongdoing. And that's something I'm still coming to terms with. So, borderline personality disorder is, for me, it manifests as I do a lot of splitting. When I'm feeling really good, when I'm feeling very happy and positive, that's literally all I feel is happiness and positivity and optimism and sunshine and joy and all that stuff and kindness and love. And those are days that don't really affect my life negatively, obviously. I really like those days, but that is part of the disorder. That's not a normal way of processing emotion, is to feel one spectrum of emotions and that's it. But the days that are not so great are when I am having the opposite. I'm feeling nothing but bad emotions. And that can be triggered by something as tiny as someone I love and care about looking at me funny. And suddenly I'll just have this overwhelming feeling of like, okay, they're done with me. They don't like me. Everyone's done with me. Everything is bad. Everything is malicious. Everything's out to get me. It just, that barrage of frightening negative emotions just hits me and consumes me for, it could be 12 hours, it could be 24, it could be 72 hours that I feel this way. And I have no memory of positive feelings or no memory of calm and peace and no hope that I will ever feel those things again. I call those my episodes, and they happen maybe once per week, once every 2 weeks. 2 weeks is like a good span of time between episodes, and it's exhausting. It's funny because I've been dealing with these things for at least 6 or 7 years. Did they really start to manifest? But I wouldn't classify myself as suicidal until after my diagnosis of borderline personality disorder, because before I knew that it was a condition that I had, I was always hopeful that the problem and thus the solution were external. Every time I felt a certain way, like someone says an offhand remark to me and I interpret it and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this person hates me, I'm so mad, this person is treating me so horribly, I'm feeling so anxious and insecure based around this person and this thing that they did that triggered me. Before I knew the problem was internal, that it was a condition I had, it was like a personality disorder, I was always hopeful that once I find the right people, once I surround myself with the right environment, once everything is perfect externally and people stop making me feel so anxious, then I'll be good. You know, like that's the solution. But after this diagnosis, which only happened about, I want to say like 4 to 6 months ago, and I started to recognize these feelings as, oh, this is an episode. This is why I'm feeling this way. It's not because of what anyone said. The fears I have about my surroundings are not grounded in reality, that they're happening in my head because of what I've gone through as a child, because of these like traumas and fears that were ingrained in my brain when it was still developing. This is why I feel this way. Like I feel like I'm falling and I'm gonna die and people are out to get me and kill me, but that's not the case. I feel like everyone's going to abandon me today. I really feel like that's happening. Now that I know that it's a condition, I've actually felt worse. Well, I felt better at first because I was like, oh, perfect. I have a name to this. I can research it, get a handle on it. Now that I know what it's called, now that I know what triggers it, now that I can recognize when it's happening, what it is, surely I can control it. Because I've always been a control freak. I've always been able to control lots of aspects of my life. You know, like I'm in New York City. I have control over my career, over my income. I'm a control freak. I was really excited at first. I was like, this is great. I can get a handle on this. I can beat this. But then when the episodes kept occurring, in the episode, I was so powerless to feel any differently, to convince myself that it would pass. Even though outside of the episodes, I knew full well that they were going to happen, what they would feel like. Even sometimes in the episodes, I knew it was an episode, but I couldn't pull myself out. It's just, it goes to show the strength of the condition and the like absolute ferocity at which it just like grabs you and holds you hostage for as long as it wants to. That feeling of just like not being in control of my own brain was just so frightening. And I'm getting a little emotional because I just had an episode last night. And it's absolutely infuriating. The suicide rate for people with borderline personality disorder is actually quite high. It's like, I don't know, I forget the statistic, but I want to say it's at least 30%. And I totally understand why, because if the problem is living inside of me and I can't control it, that means that this is going to be my life forever. And it's not a helpful thought process, as my therapist has pointed out a few times, but it feels very true, you know? When I'm having these episodes, like that's literally all I want is I just want peace and I want it to stop and I want this life that I'm living with this constant return of these horrible feelings that I'm not in control of. I just want it to stop. So this year, I'm like definitely suicidal at this point, but I'm not like craving death all the time. It's just during these episodes, it's just I want to stop feeling this way. And I don't know how other than to just make it stop. So a few things I did to try to combat this, because for some reason I have this like notion that as much as I want it sometimes, it's not the right thing to do. And I don't know why I think that way. Just because like if life is painful all the time, what am I sticking around for? I don't personally really believe in an afterlife. If I'm just going to be on this earth for 70, 80, 90 years, and all of those years are constant periods of suffering like this, why not just like let myself go and not deal with that. It's like I watched a video earlier today about like when to know to put your cat or your dog to sleep, and it's like if they have more bad days than good days, then the humane thing to do would be to put them down. And I'm like, okay, when I'm having an episode, I very much feel like I'm having way more bad days than good days, and it just like it makes sense to just the humane thing to do for myself would just be to like let it go. But again, for some reason I feel like I shouldn't do it. I've been emotionally distancing myself from people, relationships, situations that might make me anxious. So I'm not like cutting people out of my life, although that is a hallmark trait of BPD. But I'm not like saying, oh, this person is out, this person's out, this person's out. No, I'm just like, calling certain people a lot less often just because maybe speaking to them is emotionally taxing for me. I got a dog. I was feeling extremely suicidal a few weeks ago, a month ago ish, and I was just like, I don't know how I'm not going to kill myself at this point. And then I had the thought, like, okay, for some reason, I feel like it's wrong. The next day, I went to the animal shelter in my neighborhood, and I was just like, I don't even care what dog, I'm taking a dog home because I need something to take care of. I need something to teach me how to be alone and to teach me how to soothe myself. Without really being alone. Give me any dog. Doesn't matter if it's badly behaved or whatever. I'll learn to love it. I will train it. The dog I got was actually super awesome. She's a 2-year-old pit bull mix named Sunny, and she's very energetic and very strong-willed. But I love her, and I think that having her has really helped. I've just been doing a lot more introspecting and trying to care about myself as I care about people in my life. And I see people that can do that, and I'm completely in awe and inspired by them. People who put their own needs first and who look at themselves as someone that has needs, who needs care. How do you think that way? How do you get that to be a priority? Because that's so foreign to me. I never learned how to do that. So learning how to do that, learning how to take myself into account so that I can try to find peace and to find happiness in this world, because I know that life is precious. It's, we're not here for that long. And just personally, I don't believe in an afterlife again. So because of that belief, I believe that this time that we have on earth and this time of consciousness where our brains are alive and functioning is the only time that we'll get. That's what I personally think. I would really, really like to find a way to just be happy and to sustain that. And yeah, so that's what I'm up to. If anyone is watching, I appreciate it, and I hope that someone out there, I'm sure there are people who can relate to this, and maybe we can just find that place together. All right, I'm off. Bye.